I'll call in the focus and the consciousness of the four elements: earth, air, water, and fire. Call upon any of my higher guides and those that need to help bring conscious message of truth, of love, and of action and awareness into this reading. I call that in for this moment, for the higher source consciousness, to share something beautiful, something useful, something uplifting, something inspiring, maybe even challenging for anybody who taps into this reading on this full moon. And we'll see what the message is of these cards. I'm going to show you this reading first of all. For those of you who join me, thank you for joining me. Thanks for joining me live. It's great that so many of you just popped on. I don't know where you are. I know the timing isn't great all around the world, but for those of you who are here, great, and thank you very much. Let me just show you these 4 cards. The first 3 being I would say the primary part of the reading, and then there's the 4th one is kind of, it's not really a conclusion. It's just kind of a reminder type of card, or at least that's what it feels like for now. I'll show you the cards and then we can jump into it. So we have 3 pentacles for this reading today. Here they are. Let me see if I can throw them inside of the video. The centered one here, this 7 being the key card, or the first one that came up, the 7 of Pentacles, and then we have the 3 the 3 here, and the 6th over here. I'm just looking at the screen and getting my wrong from left, reversed, coming up. So it's a pentacle reading today, which is interesting in itself and beautiful in its essence. The last card I'll show you was the Ace of Swords that came up. So there's a lot of clarity and very directness about this card, which is going to be part of this message. So I'm just going to breathe a few moments and get into a zone where I can maybe share some more inspiring thoughts that come up from these cards, and see what wants to be shared and what feels like is more important as far as this message is concerned. So the first thing is the material nature of this message, being 3 pentacles coming up and 2 reverse cards. And this is a calling for a certain amount of awareness of how we're relating to our physicality. What message in life isn't about relating to our physicality, really? And all of our messages are going to have a physical nature to them. They're all going to be partly relatable to how we interact with our body, what we do with our body, and how we feel in our body, and what we think about. But this earth element and the grounding of the earth element and the very rooting nature of the physical 5-pointed star and the pentacles inside of ourselves is a specific call to how we relate to the ways that we interact with this body, which are primarily the way we look after it, the way we feed it, the way we work it, the way we listen to it or don't listen to it, the way we look after it or don't look after it, the value that we give to our physical suit that we've embodied in this lifetime, in this incarnation. And this this message is going to be specifically about this relationship with our physicality. We have a very mixed relationship with our bodies usually. Sometimes definitely taking them for granted a lot of the time, and definitely finding it difficult to feel completely grateful for everything that we are physically. We'll be appreciative about some aspects of our physical body, but quite often we'll be complaining, or moaning, or just judging ourselves physically in so many ways that may not be conducive to feeling appreciative at the same time. So let's jump in and have a look at this reading and these cards. So we have this 7, and there's the 6 is also on the deck in front of me here, but this 7 is the card that's asking us to dictate, or at least initiate, the journey of this message. And this is a card which I always translate as this recognition of abundance that we have created physically or material in our lives, or the recognition of a certain fruit that is abundant on the tree here, and a consequence of the work or the labor that we have made in our lives. And yet there's this kind of forlorn figure who's, well, not really forlorn, but he's not really like, oh, yippee, look at all of my fruit that I've, and oh, look at all the success that I've made. But he's just looking at it and going, yep, there it is. If we're working in our lives for a goal, for an end result, for an achievement, a success that can only be judged by how many fruit are on the tree in front of us, then, and this is natural, this is normal, this is a consequence of being so attached to the physicality of life, is judging our actions, judging the worthiness of our actions by the amount of fruit that has been achieved, or that is hanging from the tree of our success at the end of the day, when we say we've reached our goal, or when we've finished a project, or when we've ended the work. And there's a sort of a darker, heavier attribute to that more goal-orientated way of interacting with this world and with our bodies and with life, and that is that, oh, my body is only successful when it looks a certain way, when it has reached a certain attainable goal, when I've managed to lose that weight, when I've managed to be healthy for a long stretch of time, when I can do all the things that I physically want to do. And that is the only way that I can say that I have actually achieved something. And the darker, more heavier, goal-orientated frame of working and interacting with our bodies and with life and the world in general says that unless we've achieved something, then we're not worthy. Oh, it's not good enough, that we haven't got there. And I know it's so easy to see what we're missing, to see what we haven't got instead of what we have got. It's so easy to say to ourselves, yeah, okay, I've got all of that fruit, but what, now I've just got to start all over again. Okay, so what? It's going to be gone someday. And there's this pessimism that will naturally jump into our lives, where we may well appreciate what we have to a certain degree, but we have this fixation on what we don't have and what we're missing, or what is not quite enough. And that becomes the striving motivation to go and find something that's going to make me feel enough, or make me feel worthy, or make me feel a certain amount of success. But in this journey of heading towards a goal, the whole journey we're failing because we haven't got the goal yet. And with this mentality of being fixated on the outcome, there's this the whole journey becomes kind of like a journey of failure until right at the end when we say, yeah, we succeeded, great, and it doesn't necessarily it's not black and white, the journey, but if I were to make a metaphor, like if we're going out for a run, for example, and the intention of going out for a run is to increase our lung capacity, our strength, and build our body up, build our resistance, and build our health up a little bit. If that's our intention, then from the moment we put our trainers on and the moment we step out and go, yeah, I'm going to go and do the run, we're already winning. We've already won. We're already succeeding. From the moment we actually decide to put on the sweatpants and go out and do it, we're already making our body better. We're practicing from the first step, from the first deep breath. And if it's a 20-minute run or a half an hour run, that whole length of the journey is a journey of success because we're actually doing what we want to do, build our body up, build our strength up. It's not just at the end that we can clap ourselves and pat ourselves on the back. If we're running for the end goal, then we're missing the success that we're experiencing on a moment-to-moment basis. And this is partly what this card asks us to do a little bit. It asks us to be grateful of the abundance that we have, but the abundance that we have in the present moment. Because there's this tendency when we're stuck in the 3D world to be focused on the past and the future. And yeah, but okay, look at all that hard work, and look at the hard work that we have to do in the future. And it's never going to be enough unless we sit in the present moment and appreciate and congratulate ourselves for exactly what we've done. And this is a hard thing to do if we have a judgmental mind that's telling us, yeah, but you could do more. Yeah, but it's not quite perfect, is it? Yeah, but look over there and what somebody else is achieving. It's all relative, your success, isn't it? You can imagine a greater success, so why haven't you got it? And whenever these thoughts come in, they're not really thoughts of our truth. And I'm going to come back to this card of truth over and over again, because this is like kind of a conclusion card for this reading. There are certain energies here which speak, and the whole of the Pentacles speaks about a certain amount of self-worth. So let's find these into the camera. And these two cards here with the 3 and the 6th, both reverse, and they're interesting cards because 3 and the 6 are kind of related. There's a creativity here and a sharing, and then here there's also a sharing, but it's a sharing from a point of lack. There's these two beggars and a guy standing up, measuring the amount of worth that we feel we are able to receive, and it's this self-worth story that we're asked to dive into once again. We're asked to jump into how worthy we actually feel, how worthy we allow ourselves to feel in our lives. How much do we deserve? I looked up the word there was something about this word deserving here that came up with this card, so I looked it up, and it comes from a Latin, and I kind of had the intuition that was something important here. It comes from a Latin to serve, obviously, but then the prefix D means completely, to completely serve. And I looked at that and I thought, oh wow, yeah, that's a powerful message just as it is. If we can make our work in this world, if we can make some aspect of what we do in our lives, whether it's working with our family, serving the beauty of our family, the space of our family, serving our community in some way, putting ourselves in service of humanity, no matter what type of job that might be. All jobs have a service element to them. If we can feel that we are living our life in some act of service to ourselves and service to the world around us, then we're naturally going to tap into a sense of more worthiness. Why? Because I don't know. I've gone through a different relationship in my life, personally, with service at different times, and those times when I just didn't think about it and I just gave myself fully, that's when I think I felt strongest. That's when I think I was feeling more self-worth. And then when I stepped outside of this idea of bringing service into my life, it was harder to find. My self-worth became harder to find, and I found how unworthy, how the seeds of unworthiness were very strongly seated in the shadow of my consciousness. And I had to not wrestle with those demons, but really face them for sure. And there's part of this reading is asking us to find our truth, this higher truth from God, this truth that is a certain amount of knowing that tells each one of us, hey, your form of service to this world, your form of service to yourself, because we have to take one first, and that's look after ourselves, and then understand that from that strong base of self-service we can reach out and serve humanity. If we find ourselves looked after, if we find ourselves able to look after ourselves, then we are able to give from the beauty of our hearts and from the truth of what it is, whatever it is we want to share with this world, whether it's just a smile, or whether it's, I don't know, feeding our kids or looking after our family, or doesn't matter what it is, the service that we feel we are here for in this moment, because it will change, is something beautiful and important to tap into. I don't believe we're here just to run around satisfying our individual needs. And that's another thing about this card. If this is just for me, and all of this fruit that I've worked for is just for me, and it doesn't, and I don't see the beauty of the effect of how it can help the environment in any way, shape or form, it's going to be a tough one to actually feel great about myself. Yeah, my ego might feel wonderful. Yeah, I might feel super powerful. I might be a millionaire that doesn't share with anybody else, but that doesn't usually happen. What usually happens is when people find a ticket towards abundance, and whether it's an abundance of appreciating our lives where we are right now, an abundance of appreciating who we are with and what we can do, an abundance of appreciation or gratitude towards what we have actually managed to work for and get, and the success that we've achieved. If we can sit inside of that, then there's a natural desire, when we're in touch with our hearts, to want to share, to want to give, to want to create something with other people, to want to turn this around and say, yeah, let's do a project that's spiritually orientated. And when I say spiritually orientated, that's a very loose term. My idea about spirituality has definitely encompassed much more of life, if not all of it, to the degree where the spiritual mindset is a mindset of uplifting, awareness, awakeness. And how can we share more awakeness with this world? How can we share more vision, more truth, more honesty, more love? All of this is a spiritual path. How can we walk our walk with more integrity? How can we be more inspiring and uplifting lights for this world? How can we shine a light on our own darkness and help other people see theirs because of that? How can we do all of this in the name of something that just serves something bigger than just me? There's an aspect of that about this reading, and there's a truth which the Ace of Swords speaks about, which is Yeah, it's source's truth, it's God's truth, it's our higher truth, and how our own individuality taps into that source truth and brings it down, and what it sounds like and what it feels like inside, and how we can actually put that into action and what that action might look like. It starts off with really appreciating the present moment, what we have right here. And when the voice of lack comes in, and when the pessimism jumps in and says, look at what I don't have, I would really want something that I don't. Let's focus on what we do have. Let's focus on the beauty of what's sitting underneath our feet, or what's right there, underneath our feet. Let's focus on how amazing that is. And let's focus on how much that is actually, it may well have been something that we worked hard for, but it's still been a gift. Still something that's been given to us, just like we've worked hard for our bodies to be the way we are now, to the level of health that we've managed to achieve. We fed ourselves rightly or wrongly. We've put good things and bad things into our body, but we still are a representation of a certain amount of abundance, just because all of these cells are still managing to interact with each other and have fun. And that call for gratitude and stepping into worthiness is aligned with, is connected to our sense of service. It's going to be connected to working with other people for sure. In whatever way, shape or form that looks like, it's definitely going to include some type of collaboration. And I don't always know the best ways to share some of the beautiful things that I have learned and bumped into and encountered and experienced in my life. And yeah, I need to jump into collaboration with other people in order to help me share my truth and walk my walk and be of service in a greater way. And so I really relate to this reading on a very personal level, and it's so clear that that's my truth, and it's so clear that that's what I'm here for. And I can do this in very many different ways, but it has to be really aligned with what makes me wake up every morning and feel grateful. So whatever you can do in your life, whatever you can choose to dedicate some of your spare time to, whatever you can look out at what you're actually doing in the world right now, right here, and give thanks for that, and feel and congratulate the service nature of everything that you do. That's part of it, because inside of that service, there's a worthiness, and that worthiness needs to grow so that we can all be much more beautifully abundant like we want to be. I'm going to leave this full moon reading here, and I'm going to jump into a few one-carders for those who are here. Thank you again for joining me. So there's a bunch of names, and I am definitely not going to be able to do everybody, I'm afraid, and some of the messages might be quicker than others. Please don't feel disheartened if I don't read your name out and answer one for you, but hopefully you can get some understanding, some of the wisdom from other people's cards too. And please listen to the messages maybe that might feel appropriate for yourself in this time. So I'm just going to mix the cards up and take a few deep breaths. I'm going to start with Yaga, because you were here first. And thanks for joining me, Yaga. To begin with, I'm not going to integrate these 4 cards. I'm going to leave them out, so there'll be different cards coming up. Take a few deep breaths. Okay. So, yeah, for Yaga, we have this Knight of Cups. Speaking quite blatantly about this calling over this next period of your life to really to really explore your sensitivity and not be afraid of sharing some of your more artistic and sensitive qualities with the world. When I speak about sensitivity, sensitivity is that very feminine quality that we all have a certain degree of, some more than others, and we have this capacity to really feel into the environment that's around us and share what we feel in this environment. And this night speaks about specifically that, going beyond the fear of sharing what we feel in every situation of our lives, in every moment, not necessarily just blurting out our emotional state of being, but feeling confident about sharing what we feel we're recognizing is in the air or is in the people that are around us, and is definitely maybe important to voice. A lot of our emotions go unshared because it's easy to feel something and then hide it. And so we'll do that more than sharing. And the sharing of our emotions takes courage. And that's what the night calls for. It's a courage to step up and speak our truth when we feel something in maybe more difficult environments. Hope for that. Okay, I'm going to do a card for you, Muse Bandit. Love the name. Just take a deep breath or two for me. Okay, we have the quarter coming out today. We have the Page of Pentacles. Okay, for you, Muse. Just there's a very simple message, a very beautiful message for this next upcoming time, that when opportunity presents itself, when it seems like opportunity is out there, we're sometimes very hesitant about whether to say yes or no, and we're so indecisive a lot of the time. And what I'd like you to do, or what this card seems to be asking us to do quite often, is to have a bodily check-in and go, an opportunity, does it feel right? Just really ask the body very instantaneously, very intuitively, and very quickly, and just go, how do you feel, body, about this choice? And listen. How do you feel about this choice? And listen. Listen as if the body can actually talk to you, because it can. And that body is like this page, which is like our child, which is very instinctive and very able to give you a message very quickly and very surely. Yes, it's going to be, or no, it's going to be. Listen, because there's going to be some interesting opportunities for you to say yes, maybe coming up, and not all of them, not all the opportunities will be need to be yes ones, but your body will know straight away. Allow this to be your guidance. Axa. Take a deep breath with me. Okay. The reverse Four of Swords. Here we go. This reverse Four of Swords, this picture of somebody lying with the sword in this picture above his head, and the three swords pointing upwards instead of downwards. So there's a there's a time for contemplation, AXA, and there's a time where we already know our truth. So this card speaks about going inside and really sitting with a certain amount of introspection, but this reversal has a slightly twisted message for this, for you, which is speaking a little bit more about how our introverted nature, or how our introspective nature, and questioning some of the stories that we have is not always the best way to find our answers or to find our truth. A certain amount of inner questioning is really important, but if you have a tendency to overthink, then just trust your gut, because there will be an uplifting idea. There will be an idea which seems to be pointing higher up, which seems to be pointing towards the light. And yeah, it's not, it doesn't necessarily have to be a long process trying to figure things out. Don't don't sweat too much about trying to figure things out. If your mind is really active and really trying to understand and solve a problem all the time, or solve the answer to what choices you need to make, or what's right and what's wrong in every specific moment in your life, trust your gut feeling a little bit, because there's something that you already know. It's like the choices that you might go round and round in circles about, I think you already know. And with one deep breath, you can reconnect with that knowing, and you can shut your mind out with just one deep breath. And instead of that chaos in the mind that's stopping you from going in, take one deep breath, find the truth with one breath, just one breath. That's all you need. Terry, would you like to take a few deep breaths? It's just one card for you. Okay. Another sword coming up, the reversed Six of Swords. If there's a tendency, Terry, for regret, and maybe look at how you might relate to regret, then understand that it's a little bit of a waste of time. Obviously, it doesn't seem very positive story to regret anything in our lives, but every mistake, every journey that we've made in our lives, whether the outcome has been positive or not, whether we've achieved something from it or not, has been a lesson of learning. We might not have learned the lesson. We might have been stubborn to realize that there was a lesson there. We might have been too fixated on the outcome that we forgot that there is a deeper meaning to our life experience, in which case that's fine. We're just going to have to learn that lesson again. But regret is one of the ways that we're telling life that it made a mistake, that we made a mistake. And while mistakes are okay to admit to, a more beautiful way to see a mistake is by recognizing, oh, this was an attempt to to make a right choice, or this was an attempt to do something, and it didn't work out, so that it could teach me how to do it better. So we can see any failures that we've had as opportunities to grow and learn, and obviously every failure is the best opportunity to grow and learn. And so if we have a negative relationship with regret about something, change it around, because the way to find a new, more positive, uplifting beliefs in your life are about choosing to see things differently. And that's a little bit about what this card might mean for you. Charlotte, take a few deep breaths with me if you can. Okay. Oof. We'll have another page. The court's coming up random here, but a reverse page of cups for you, Charlotte. So when there is an opportunity to really enjoy ourselves in life and really get emotionally stuck into something in life, and when I say emotionally stuck in, that's when we allow the joy to really flow in our lives. So when we have the opportunity to say yes with a full-hearted, arms open, singing, dancing, jumping for joy type of energy, which is very childlike, with every opportunity to jump into an experience like that, we have a history which will maybe put a dampener on that joy, a dampener on the potential excitement, the potential love for life that we are able to feel in each moment. And that dampener of an experience is going to be when things didn't quite work out, when the joy ended up not so joyful, when the yippee didn't have a fantastic ending, when we chose to love and it led to pain. There are a thousand failed emotional and expectational experiences. I don't know if you understand that, but we'll project quite often that something's going to be great, and it isn't always as great as we wanted it to be. There's going to be many experiences and many failed projections on that front in our lives, but the hopeless romantic and the faithful lover will always come back and say yes to love, always. And if opportunities are presenting themselves for you to say yes to your joy, yes to your happiness, yes to love, see how you can find that wholehearted yes once again. Nancy. Okay. We have the faithful Four of Pentacles comes up for you, Nancy. I'm going to reintegrate all the cards after this one, and then I'm going to do three more names, and then we're going to finish. This Four, Nancy, this Four of the King that's been coming up a lot recently. You've got a very specific message for you today. if there's some way that so part of the deeper message of this card is that we will naturally feel we have a duty to care for our environment and to protect our environment very strongly. This can relate into the way we protect our bodies. This can come out in the way we protect our family, we protect those close to us, we protect our assets, we protect our job, and we will sometimes hold on really tightly to what we think is important so that we can protect it and hold on to it, and so that we can look after it, so that we can make sure it's safe. And this is great. This is this is that protective and defending type element that this card speaks about, that allows us to be the king of our environment, to feel so connected to it that we want to hold on to it tight, and we want to ground it, and we want to help it feel safe and stable. Our environment, we want to help our body feel safe and stable. This message of this card is that this energy, which you might relate to, is fantastic. But when this energy makes you feel alone, or alienates you from certain aspects of the world around you, and it will sometimes, holding on to stories too strongly, too tightly, trying to be over defensive and over protective sometimes, will sometimes make people or make the world around you feel separate from you, because there might not always be the freedom. You might not represent the freedom which we all desperately want to feel. And so hold on, don't stop protecting, don't stop defending, don't stop looking after your environment and building its abundance. But watch out and be ready to loosen up every now and then, or step out every now and then, when that protective nature sometimes is a little bit excessive and inhibits freedom around you of energy to move, to the point where you might feel alone. I don't know how that works. That's a strange message, but yeah, it's definitely part of it. I'm going to mix these cards up, all of them, right now. I'm going to draw a card for you, Alona. Thanks for joining us. Oh, that was quick. Here we go. The Two of Pentacles, more choices, more decisions, more juggling. Why is this guy's hat so tall? Why has he got such a funny and ludicrous hat? I love that hat, but it's quite ridiculous. Why is that? So this card is a card about choices and decisions, which we often look to the tarot to help us make in life. We often look for guidance to help us make in life. And this pointy hat pointing towards the heavens is a little bit about where that guidance is coming from to make the decision. It's like up here, up here somewhere. It's like a big pointy finger. It looks funny as hell, but it's like an arrow. It's like an elongated part of our head, which wants to reach up towards the heavens. And it's sometimes there's a call to surrender our decision making to the higher forces, to surrender that decision making. And it might feel, that sentence might feel very difficult to understand, because how can we surrender a decision when we are the ones who are responsible for making a decision? And this is the paradox of actually just surrendering our identity and surrendering our ego a little bit. Obviously, the part of us that makes the decision is usually our learned programming and our conditioning, and we'll make a decision based upon understanding and discernment and wisdom and experience. But this card is saying, why don't you just try making a choice or two completely from the divine down, and your heart will be the place where you'll kind of feel it, but surrender it all. Allow some of your choices to not be options from your mind, but allow the options of your choices also to come from a higher space. What does that look like? That looks like you shutting your mind off for a moment or two. It looks like you lying down on an operating table and getting an anesthetic and taking a step outside of your body and having a chat with the higher part of yourself and saying, wow, instead of making a choice from the material world, what would spirit ask me to do? Or what would be the option from my higher self? Funny practice, try it. Okay, two more. Kamna, is that? Kamna. Okay, let's have a look. Kamna. Thank you for joining us. Take a deep breath with me. I'm going to do one more after this. I'm sorry if I didn't get to all of you. Kamna, just take a deep breath. The world. There are a few more beautiful cards, of course. And there's a natural uplifting element to the message which comes from the world. But it's not an easy one to understand or embody or relate to for a lot of people. Because this is a card of higher manifestation. And what that means is that this card comes along when there's an opportunity to really see something manifest in this world which relates to a much higher consciousness than the one we might experience as far as our personal history and experience is concerned. It means that there is a capacity to call into our lives much more than we normally believe we are able to, much more than we are normally think is possible or we're capable of. And so there's a huge amount of trust that comes with this card, and there's a huge amount of surrender that comes before the energy of this card, in order for us to embody being like a very clear channel. And it doesn't matter however long you'll remember this card and this reading, that's the length of time that this card's message is worthy for. to the point where if you forget about this message tomorrow, then it's just for today. If you think about this for the next 2 weeks, then it's going to be with you for the next 2 weeks. But find the trust, find the faith that you are completely, you can be in complete alignment with spirit and manifest much more than you actually normally previously thought yourself capable of manifesting. There's going to be opportunity for you to bring in and be a more beautiful, more conscious version of yourself. So allow it, have faith that that can be the case. Don't expect always to know how that's going to happen, but just watch and be willing to be the pawn in your own higher journey of self-awareness. Okay, well, one more. Patricia. One more. Okay. Temperance. For you, Patricia. And this is the last message today. Temperance is an important card in the major arcana. Which one isn't, right? But I'm not just saying that because they all are important, but it's important in the message that it brings, because there's an embodiment here. There's an embodiment of an angelic form. And what that means is this card comes up when we feel otherworldly connected. When the spirits, at different times in our life, the spirits will guide us and will be, well, it's always happening, but will be more or less or semi or barely aware of that guidance. Will be barely aware of feeling like there is anything in this world but a bunch of human ants wandering around in it. But this card speaks about a connection to this guidance from within, through your own conscience, through your own awareness, that allows you to have a very visceral experience of not being alone on one front, on definitely having a helping hand on another front, and feeling like, see, that not aloneness is not something to belittle. That's a huge thing. When we feel like, okay, somebody's got my back, or I'm feeling guided, I'm feeling protected, or maybe there is a higher energy that might, might have my best intentions at heart as well. We'll think about that from time to time, and some people have the ability to feel it more often and more consciously than others. But this card speaks about a certain inner knowing that's born, which gives birth to a faith in that knowing that we are. We're definitely channels of something bigger than just our own little personalities and our ego. So have faith that you are, and you can embody that connection more consciously in this period, because it's the way we start seeing our path more clearly, and it's the way we take more conscious steps towards the sun that's in the background, and that journey from from where we are now to where we need, where we're destined to go, can really be highlighted and enlightened when this card comes up. I hope that helps you in some way. Thank you everyone for joining me. I'm sorry if I didn't get to read your name and call your card. I did it more intuitively, and yeah, it's not something that I have the luxury of just spending hours doing. So I apologize if you didn't get a card drawn for you. I'm still open for readings if you want to. If anybody joined me on this thing and wants a reading, I'll give an extra half an hour for anybody who signed up for this live, just because, or whoever watches this video, just because I would like to offer a little bit extra of my time in this upcoming week or two. Have a wonderful full moon, everyone. And I hope this message has touched you in some way. I'd love to hear your comments if you want to share it a little bit more. If you want to share the word out, share the video, or just push it out there. Obviously, the first part is going to be a more interesting part for the general collective. And on a personal level, I wish you all the best for this next 2 weeks. I'm going to be doing this full moon lives every month. So just if you want to get on an email list, then just drop me a message from my website, and I'll throw you on an email list, and then I'll give you an update of what times it's going to be shared and what times the live is going to be. It's going to be slightly different, but it's going to be on the full moon every month, and I'm going to be doing these live one card readings. If you get here early, then maybe I can see your name faster. Much love to you all. I'm going to end the stream here, and have a great week.